I don't know what I'm thinking anymore with this AT&T building conspiracy.
Titanpointe.
There's a couple buildings in New York right there. It's blowing my mind because it's right fucking there.
You've
It's right
seen it, right?
in plain sight. Yeah. And it's weird. So there's this building in Manhattan. It's supposed to be like the AT&T building, which is supposed to house the AT&T like servers or some shit.
Yeah, servers and it was built a little while ago. So I think it was like where the cables come in and how all of the equipment was supposed to function and run. And it was supposed to be like it doesn't have any windows. And that's what's weird about it.
It's called the Titanpointe building. It was called Project X, right?
Right.
Already it's like, come on. I love these guys. When they do these things, they know that they're doing some shady shit. They don't really hide it. They're like, we're calling this Project Mayhem. We're going with Project X. Like, it's like when Disney animators put like boners and shit in there. Like,
and it's like, what's Bezos call his time clock, the 10,000-year clock? Like, yeah, when that turns out to be a time machine, we're gonna be like, he's gonna be like, yeah, guys.
Yeah.
I built a clock. I built a giant clock in a mountain that's going to keep time for 10,000 years. What'd you think it was? It was just a dial?
Project X is a massive skyscraper allegedly capable of withstanding a nuclear bomb.
Like, how can a building just withstand a bomb?
Imagine that if just like, whoosh, everything's wiped out except for Titanpointe here in Manhattan. It's 29 floors, 3 basement levels, enough food in it to feed 1,500 people 2 weeks, which is like in the event of a catastrophe. So it's like already it's supposed to be this AT&T building, but it has nuclear bunkers and food stocked up. It's like, this is not an AT&T building. What are you talking about?
Right.
And we the public know that it has bunkers and food to last.
It's like, this is like on a Wikipedia page.
Yeah, like what? And that makes me think that this is actually not a real. If you know about it, it ain't real. It's like Area 51. Right. Talk to me about Area 52, because that's what the real shit's going on. If we already know what's happening in Area 51, if you tell me that this is supposed to be the AT&T building, but we already know that it's actually a nuclear bunker, well, then this is not really even.
But that's what's funny. I've seen that building many, many times. I think you can see it from like maybe the West Side Highway. I'm not exactly sure, but I've seen that building a million times, and my reaction was,
I know.
That's it.
But like,
that's all.
As soon as I read the sentence, it has no windows. I was like, you can't fucking have a building like that. But I've seen it.
Right.
I've looked at it, and I've never registered that there's not a single window and that you're living inside of some.
Like, if that just one day they activate it and the walls just like fall off and it's a giant 500-foot missile, I'll be like, makes sense.
It's coming.
I don't know why I didn't think that was a giant nuclear weapon, but it sure looked like one.
This says that it's not to protect humans, but it's protect computers, cables, and switchboards.
The telecommunications,
The telecommunications of like the United States, for all like the long distance calls. So if shit ever goes down, like we'll still be able to communicate. But again, wouldn't you do this with like underground? Wouldn't this all just be like that's what's going on in the Denver airport, right?
Whoa,
that's got to be one of those same hubs, you know?
Right.
Like
something's happening there, yeah.
And it's like, so yeah, AT&T is using this building for some other shit. We are putting some planes in and out of Denver, whatever. But these have like these more primary purposes.
Well, what I think is interesting is now I think all the nefarious stuff like happens. Like, you can hide it differently. Like, you don't need these big places, but you did in like the 60s and 70s when this was built. I mean, if you want to be real about it, I could see you justifying saying we have all these intercontinental telecommunications happening, and maybe it does need to tie all together somewhere, and you need to build a huge building that has all of this backups and batteries and stuff like that. So it could be that. It could also double as something. You're like, okay, we need to make this we need to be able to communicate. So let's also build a bomb shelter.
Well, yeah, I think this is saying like it's the hub for long distance phone calls. It was probably doing all that, but now they're saying it is the center for the NSA to spy on everyone. also makes a lot of sense.
Mhm,
They were just
mhm.
like, all right, we have this like super fortified building that already has all the telecom infrastructure. Let's now apply that to, everybody in the world,
Mhm,
everybody in the
mhm.
country right now, and keep on watching them.
And it's just weird when you hear how prepared people were for nuclear war. Like that's a
Yeah,
bit scary.
I
You're like,
know.
oh, when I was looking this up, I came across something else. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The 1964's World's Fair underground home, at like the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Mhm.
There is let me see where is
A
it?
full-blown house underground.
15 feet below ground, a concrete shell enclosed a 12,000 square foot home with 10 rooms. This was no simple bomb shelter designed by blah, blah, blah. There included a Steinway piano, living room, an air filtering system, adjustable lighting to simulate the day and season, a fake garden. So, like, when you hear that people were like planning,
There's
like,
a season of American Horror Story that's based on like there was a nuclear
oh,
holocaust,
yeah.
and they all live like underground.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this one's very like draconian. You're in like a cave basically. But yeah, the idea would be like get the fuck underground, right? And like they probably were like, all
You
right, let's
have to.
figure out how to make it look like the seasons and make it feel like you're outdoors, but we got to live
Yeah.
underground because we were fully preparing for the world to be wiped out by nuclear war.
Did I ever tell you about when I went into the tunnels under Grand Central?
No,
So right
like
before I came on board with Barstool, I worked on Park Avenue managing a building, and it was like in line with where they were trying to connect Grand Central and Penn Station. And
mm,
there are just these vast like caverns underneath the city. And it's for railroads.
that just
But because like, they were like they weren't like asking I was the property manager, and they were like kind of asking permission from the property, but mostly being like, we're gonna build underneath here, so we want to come down and like show you what it's like. And I had zero say in all this, so I
mhm.
accompany like the owners of the property like down into these caves, and it's like, this all does serve a normal purpose, the
Yeah,
trains, but it felt weird. I've legitimately felt like Indiana Jones. Like I was
yeah,
in this giant cavern,
good
like
spot.
gigantic, that's just
Right.
under Manhattan, like the size of buildings, but underground. Like when I was looking up, I was like in a gigantic
And
cave.
how many stories?
I couldn't tell you exactly, but I mean it was very large. It was hundreds of feet like above my head.
Yeah, so like 10 stories, 20 stories.
Probably, yeah,
Jesus
probably.
Christ. And the mole people not living there though?
Not
The
where
mole,
I was, but like
yeah,
I was looking down, like it was like if you were to look down a like a subway track, and you're
yeah,
like, there could be anything going on between stations here and
yeah.
there, but this was underground. And yeah, I'm sure, like, you see homeless people on the street, and you're like, y'all don't know about the caverns?
Right. Get
Go down
inside.
there. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I don't know if it would be colder or warmer down there, but it would be like at least you'd be away from just like the elements. But yeah, I mean, there are like you hear about these things like the tunnels underneath. I think they said that there's tunnels under Washington D.C. to like quickly shuttle people places, and maybe they're
Mhm.
active and maybe they aren't. But like they were built for practical purposes. It's just what purposes are they used for now, or
Well, or
have
what
they been used
in
for?
addition to, it's like, yeah, like we said, you are doing all these things, but we're also going to use it to spy, or we're also going to use it to like house the nuclear bombs or whatever else
Right.
we need it to do,
Right.
where they can't find it or use radar or sense it,
Yeah.
like
And it was Snowden that like kind of exposed this Titanpointe building, right?
yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, why do we even know Titan Point as the name, Project X? Why do we
Yeah.
know all
I
the
think they
details
said
of it?
Snowden's documents say that there is an NSA headquarters in New York that's referred to as Titan Point.
Titan
It's
Point, and
not
then they
like,
connect the pieces of like it's probably this thing
yeah.
that has all that. But it's funny that it's like it sticks out like a sore thumb, but it doesn't. It's
Right.
like
I mean,
again,
there's a lot of weird buildings in New York.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess now it's probably blending in more and more as things get stranger and stranger. But it kind of goes back to all like everything I was saying. Like, well, this is saying in a 1982 piece, it says this is actually one of one of the few pieces of good modern architecture. So this is somebody's probably just spinning it like, no, this is new architecture when it's like it's 90-foot thick stone.
Yeah.
To
Well,
protect
another weird commercial real estate story I have is it was designed. AT&T, I guess, had this one iconic designer. I think his name is Wernicke. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I managed the Sony building, which used to be the AT&T building, and we tried to win this citywide award, and it was like, oh, the design is so special, and they kind of look a little similar. The Sony building, just the old AT&T building, like where they had AT&T employees, not equipment, had windows. It was a regular fucking building, but some weird designer who's like, oh, I'm gonna do this like without windows. It's like, you talking to OSHA, buddy? You're not allowed to put people in there. Like, that's the thing. You can't have a building with people that doesn't have windows. Like, that's illegal.
But that's where I'm saying, to go back to like, to wrap it up, I guess, the message of like, it doesn't really matter, where somebody was probably like, we can't do this. Like, everyone's going to know. They're going to have windows. It's going to like,
no one's going to know.
And someone was just like, it doesn't matter. And there will probably be some people suspicious, and they'll call us out, and we just won't pay any attention to them.
Yeah. They were like, you know what? We're building like a giant bomb in the middle of Manhattan. Like, we got to at least disguise it. If somebody finds out, we're going to be like, yeah, there's a bomb there. It is what it is.
It's the amount of like, hiding in plain sight. It's almost like, you got something sensitive on your phone, and it's like, here, go ahead. You can look through it right now. You're not going to find anything. Go ahead and take it. And then they're like, you're right. I trust you. You know what I mean? It's like the moment of truth where like, you're really going to risk it by being like, we'll just build it in the middle of the fucking city, and we'll trust that people will be like, that's weird, but I don't know. Did you see the Mets? You see what the Mets did yesterday? Because they get back to what their day-to-day life really is. It's like, yeah, it does affect you, but your literal day-to-day, when you wake up in the morning, the president, that building, the NSA, all these things. To a guy like Edward Snowden, it did. It drove him fucking crazy to the point that he needed to investigate and blow the whistle and risk his life. To the rest of us, it's like, well, I'm going to lose that Twitter argument today because I like the other guy. But that's about it.
Right. Oh, I love that there are probably a bunch of MAGA guys out there that are like, if today, when you're listening to this, Joe Biden is the president-elect, there's some people that have been like fairly vocal on Twitter, and they'll just be like, oh, well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Patriots fans.
What are you gonna do?
Right now, the country's like Patriots fans. They had their dynasty, and they're running shit. And then if they lose, Tom Brady leaves, they're just like, I'm gonna root for the other guy.
Oh, well.
I'm gonna root for the winner. I'm gonna front run. That's what we do. Fair weather. I'm blue now. I'm liberal now. Whatever.
Yeah. They're just gonna be like, I'm still just gonna chirp people anyway. Like, I'm just gonna be like, Trump should have been president, and you would have this if he was president. And they just go on about their day. Same thing.
I hope there's more of that. Again, to liken it back to sports, it's like when there's a guy on your team you don't like, and then he gets traded or let go, and you're like, oh, thank God I don't have to like fake liking that guy anymore. I can tell it like it is. There's probably some Republicans where like I felt the need to like push the party line, and if he loses, they could be like, finally, fuck that old fat guy.
Oh, I think that's like the entire GOP Senate. Yeah, Mitch McConnell is gonna, if Mitch McConnell gets reelected and Trump's out, he's gonna be like, thank God.
Oh God, dude. Yeah. So I mean, I hope that's the case, because with the boarding up and the violence and the preparing for all that, wouldn't it be great if America rose to the occasion for once and we're just like, that didn't go the way I wanted it to, but oh well.
Honestly, if America, this would be the ultimate rising to the occasion. If America stood up in unity and said, who cares? That would be the ultimate sign of patriotism and the American way. I would love for everybody to be just like, I don't give a fuck.
The Jay Cutler. Don't care. Like what is it like the rest of the world wants to know? I saw somebody tweeting me today, like we here in Canada will be watching closely, like good luck, like talking to me. I'm like, what the fuck? But it'd be like, if like we're at the UN and it's like, the delegates all around the world at the fucking summit want to know, like, do you have a statement from the new president or the next, the next 4 years for Donald Trump, whoever wins? Don't care. God, wouldn't it be refreshing?
If we could just, wouldn't that be great? Like, that should be Jay Cutler's social, Like he should just comment on all things political, important. Just like I just want to hear him like hear it out, listen to it, and be like, don't care.
Don't fucking care, man.
It'd be refreshing. It'd be a breath of fresh air. Although I think he'd endorse Trump, right? So he cares somewhat.
I would imagine he's got to be a Trump guy, but whatever. Just send me to Titanpointe. Let me live underground. I don't need windows. I don't give a fuck about outdoors. Titanpointe is the ultimate Barstool indoors. Team indoors. Like, just give me a couch and a television. Give me that Kanye West wall of TV. I don't need any vitamin D. I don't need any UV light.
We should see if there's some like a floor to rent that could be like HQ4, and it'll just be like Team KFC goes there.
When they talk about like a staycation, you want to get like a nice hotel room. I just want a room in Titanpointe. Send me to the basement of Titanpointe, and I'll be a happy man. If I get to Titanpointe this week, right now, people are boarding up. People are worried. They're in fear. There could be violence. There could be destruction. Who knows? Not me. I am chilling inside Titanpointe. See you later, motherfuckers. Let me just redo I want to introduce Titanpointe a little better.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think I said something. You got to think big picture. I'm always thinking big picture. You know me, tinfoil hat. I'm always putting it on. It's time for another KFC conspiracy hour. I saw this pop up on TikTok. You had sent it to me. The latest conspiracy I'm looking at is hiding in plain sight. It's a building in New York City that if you just read like one sentence about it, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's a building that if you live in New York, everybody has seen before. And I guess you just don't think twice about it. You're just like, I don't know, there goes a building. But it's supposed to be an AT&T building that is codenamed Titanpointe and or Project X, because it is this 29-story building that can withstand a nuclear bomb, that's made of the materials that can withstand the blast and the radiation. No windows, which makes you can't have buildings with no windows, but everybody saw it. Nobody thinks twice about it until somebody blows the whistle. You start reading up on it and you're like, oh yeah, some deeply nefarious shit is going on inside this gigantic eyesore of a building that makes no fucking sense. Good?
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, cool.
I'll probably put like a timestamp in there and maybe in the description say like if you want to jump through the political stuff.
For sure. Cool.